Have you ever wondered why the number $1 million feels so different than it used to? For decades, this was the ultimate gold standard of financial success. It was the magic number that supposedly guaranteed a life of comfort, travel, and complete freedom from the daily grind. But if you are approaching your 60s, you might have noticed something unsettling. The goalposts are moving. The reality of the modern economy means that the dream we were sold 30 years ago does not quite match the world we live in today. In this video, we are going to look at the cold, hard numbers behind the $1 million retirement myth. We will explore what the average person actually has in their bank account versus what they think they need. And most importantly, we will look at how you can protect your future, even if the math seems stacked against you. Let us start with the most basic question. How much money does the average person actually retire with today? If you ask a neighbor or a coworker, they might guess $1 million because that is what they see on the news. Others might think the average person has almost nothing because of the stories we hear about people struggling. The truth, according to the Federal Reserve, is somewhere in the middle, but it is still a massive wake-up call. The median household retirement savings for someone around the age of 62 sits between $185,000 and $200,000. Take a moment to let that sink in. That is not just a little bit short of $1 million. It is 80% less than the target most experts recommend. And we are not talking about total wealth or the value of your home. We are talking strictly about liquid retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs. The money you actually have available to pay for groceries, electricity, and healthcare. Now, you might be thinking that $200,000 is still a significant amount of money. And it is. But when you spread that over 20 or 30 years of retirement, the math becomes very difficult. If we use the traditional 4% withdrawal rule, a $200,000 portfolio only generates about $8,000 per year. That is less than $700 per month. Even if you are very conservative, that is barely enough to cover a few utility bills and basic expenses. This is why so many people feel a sense of quiet panic as they get closer to their retirement date. They have worked hard for 40 years. They have saved what they could, and yet the finish line still feels miles away. But there is another layer to this problem that most people overlook until it is too late. It is the difference between being a millionaire on paper and being retirement ready. You see, many households appear wealthy because they own a home that has skyrocketed in value. If your house is worth $800,000 and you have $200,000 in savings, you are technically a millionaire. But you cannot use your kitchen cabinets to pay for a prescription at the pharmacy. You cannot use the drywall in your living room to buy a plane ticket to see your grandchildren. Unless you sell the house, downsize, or take out a loan, that wealth is locked away where you cannot touch it. This is the trap of being a paper millionaire. You have the equity, but you do not have the income. And in retirement, income is the only thing that matters. This is especially true when we consider the hidden thief that is stealing our purchasing power every single day: inflation. $1 million today is simply not what it was 15 or 20 years ago. In fact, after the price increases we have seen recently, $1 million today buys roughly what $600,000 bought back in the early 2000s. The price of a gallon of milk, a new car, and especially health insurance has outpaced almost everything else. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the average retired household spends about $55,000 per year. For a couple, that number is often higher. If your savings only provide $8,000 a year, you are forced to rely almost entirely on Social Security. But was Social Security ever meant to be your only source of income? The answer is no. It was designed to be a safety net, a supplement to your own savings. The average Social Security benefit today is around $1,900 per month. For a married couple, that might bring in around $3,800 a month total. When you add in a small withdrawal from your savings, you might be looking at around $4,500 a month. It is enough to survive, but it is far from the luxurious retirement that many people spent their lives imagining. It means making hard choices about which vacations you can take or how often you can afford to eat out. So, why is the gap so large for so many people? It is not because people are lazy or irresponsible. It is because life happens. Job losses, medical emergencies, and the cost of raising a family often take priority over a retirement account that feels decades away. And for many, the stock market feels like a dangerous gamble rather than a tool for growth. They remember the crash of 2008 or the dot-com bubble, and they decide that keeping cash in a savings account is safer. But as we have seen, cash quietly loses its value every year that it sits still. If you are feeling behind, please know that you are not alone. The vast majority of your peers are in the exact same position. But there is a silver lining. Because the average is so low, it does not take a massive miracle to move yourself into a much safer position. The power of compounding is your greatest ally, even in the final years of your career. Let us look at what happens if you decide to wait just a little bit longer. If you have $200,000 saved at age 62 and you can leave it invested for just 5 more years, that money can grow significantly. With an average return of 7 to 8%, that $200,000 could become $300,000 without you adding a single extra penny. Wait 7 years and it could nearly double. Time is the most powerful lever you have. Another strategy many people are using is delaying their Social Security benefits. For every year you wait past your 62nd birthday, your monthly check increases by about 8%. There is almost no investment on Wall Street that offers a guaranteed 8% return every year with zero risk. By waiting until age 67 or even 70, you can dramatically increase your guaranteed monthly income for the rest of your life. This can bridge the gap between a retirement of struggle and a retirement of security. We also need to talk about the psychological shift that happens when you stop focusing on the total number and start focusing on the lifestyle. $1 million is just a number on a screen. What matters is your cost of living. If you can enter retirement with a paid-off mortgage, your need for monthly income drops by 30 or 40% immediately. Eliminating debt is often more effective than chasing higher investment returns. It gives you more control and less stress. The goal is not to be the richest person in the cemetery. The goal is to have the freedom to enjoy your time without the constant weight of financial anxiety. The world of retirement is changing, and the old rules do not always apply. You do not need to be perfect to succeed. You just need to be consistent and informed. If the average person retires with $200,000, then saving just a few $100s more each month puts you well ahead of the curve. It is about finding the balance between enjoying your life today and protecting the person you will be 20 years from now. Do not let the big numbers discourage you. Focus on the next small step, whether that is increasing your contribution by 1% or finally sitting down to create a real budget. Every action you take today creates a ripple effect that your future self will thank you for. The truth about the $1 million benchmark is that it is no longer a luxury. It is a target that requires discipline and a clear-eyed look at the facts. But with the right information and a little bit of patience, a secure retirement is still within your reach. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you found this perspective helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel. We are here to help you navigate these complex topics with simple, honest advice. Take care of yourself and keep moving forward, one step at a time.